Ladies and gents, home sushi reaction. This is Gothic 2 review, classic German role-playing trademark by the channel ssethtzeentach. Everyone's favorite German turnip cultivation RPG. Of course it is. Now finally reviewed. Finally. It is the last sentence supposed to be sarcastic, but it's not, because if Seth doesn't do review, no reviews exist. So this is a proper first review of Gothic 2. Yeah, I remember Gothic 2. I played it a bit, right? Because everybody was saying that it's the best RPG ever. I couldn't finish it, right? But I do remember mechanics of it, certain mechanics of the game. That the best thing about that was that you could there was no weight limit as far as I can remember. You could just carry all the shit you want. You can sell to any merchant without any restriction or something like that. And as far as the buying, selling and whole thing goes like that was not that emphasized on the game, because you probably find lots of I guess items just by looting, right? But the game, as far as I remember, whatever I played was incredible. For whatever reason, I stopped playing it at the time. Then I don't know, I just never played it again until I just saw this title, like holy shit, that was a Gothic 2. I just realized that I didn't finish it. But yeah, it was years ago. Alright, let's play it. This game from 2002. I played it in what, I guess 2012 or something. Didn't feel that old. I was like 2006, 2007, but yeah. Right, let's watch this one.
Hey people, Seth here. Today, I'll be covering a game loved by many. A game where you go from nothing to being the most powerful being on the entire continent. You can fight, die, craft, beat up the poor, perform alchemy, perform intercourse with women, and even distribute sausages to monks.
Sausage is great. You have one sausage too many anyway. Namely, the one for you. And what's a sausage among friends?
I'm talking, of course, about Gothic 2,
That's
the quintessential single hero RPG. This game's got everything except a good combat system. Many have played and enjoyed this game, but few understand the real way to play Gothic 2. It's all about picking turnips for Lobart the farmer and destroying his relationship with his wife. Every day she feeds me. Every day she slaves over a hot stove to make me soup. And every day her hot juices pour into my stomach, Lobart. You don't even eat her soup. She told me. You haven't eaten it for years, Lobart. Mark my words. You keep ignoring her like that, and in time, it'll be my hot juices pouring inside her stomach. Story. Following the events of Gothic 1, you play as an undocumented Polish migrant who's just escaped from an all-male Polish death camp after a health and safety incident involving giant termites went sour. With a promise of adventure and a competitive European black market wage, you set out to the German city of Korinus, where you will spend the majority of your time smoking water pipes and showing German women the meaning of modesty. Much like in real life, the border guards accept European ID cards, or if you don't have that, simply a drawing of your passport. Once inside, you might be reminded that there's an overarching plot involving dragons, and how they're going to attack.
I don't know why this is funny. She's fighting with a knife and he's just with a sword and shit. Look at how she's dressed. This is just hilarious.
Attack Germany sooner or later, but who really cares? The dragons are more of a metaphorical plot device, questioning the very nature of what it means to be a Polish migrant worker, as at one point in the story, you can willingly return to the Valley of Coal Mines, a literary reference to the barren wastelands of Poland, and the moment you do so, dragons will assault Korinus and burn your memories to the ground. Despair will fill your character at this point, and you'll be left questioning your motives. Why did I go back? Why didn't I stay? Sure, Lobart only paid me €5 for picking 20 turnips, but that was enough for me to buy my Zwiek and my Camel cigarettes. I was content. I was happy.
Smooth.
Now I'll be lucky to live to 30. Most don't even last that long, down here in the popcorn mines. Hopefully, I'll be instantly caramelized by hitting a sugar vein. Some don't have that luxury. They instead get buried alive, their lungs choking on a mountain of popcorn kernels. The story's shit. Kill some dragons, ignore it, and never leave the first map.
Is Abu Jin ibn Jabir ibn Omar Khalid bin Haji al-Sharidi.
Now that we've got that aside, I can tell you about the real story of Gothic 2.
The guy was not, I guess Muslim or something, who was narrating it, because he was having hard time pronouncing that, right? I mean, okay, how else would I say this? I guess they did, what, 2 or 3 takes and like, okay, yeah, that's fine.
Gothic 2 is really a game that's entirely about becoming unionized. No matter which choices you make or which side you pick, you will inevitably have to join a workers' union, with all the perks, benefits, and downsides that come with it. The darker aspects of unions holding a monopoly on labor also comes into play. For example, the Mages of Fire hold complete monopoly on the teaching of magic, manipulating hundreds of young men to undergo year-long unpaid apprenticeships with a promise of obtaining union membership, during which time they work 60-hour-long weeks without compensation, only to be chewed out at the end of their apprenticeship because they don't meet the high standards the mages dictate, which are entirely arbitrary. Zardas, a magician who's not unionized with the Circle of Fire, is branded.
This is fucking awesome, man. They used all this magic school things and just introduced unionizing element to it. I guess the guy who created it probably had some issues with his father or something, where, you know, they faced issue with the unions and factories or something. He just remembered that, like, fuck it, I'm gonna put this element to this. There are mages, there are apprentices, fuck it, there's union issues.
An illegal practitioner of magic because he refuses to pay extortionate guild fees, which won't ever be used to serve him or defend his rights in a court of law, but instead to economically enthrall the market and prevent any competition. Similarly, the militia and paladins of Carinas hold a monopoly on force. Any significant weaponry is seized. Any appropriate means of defending yourself from the hordes of orcs just across the valley is an exclusive privilege afforded to you solely through membership with this despotic union. By their nature, they don't produce any goods, so they forcibly take food and supplies from the townspeople and the surrounding farmlands. Of course, the farmers lacked any means to resist their demands. That was until the magic barrier holding in the prisoners from your Polish death camp exploded. Many of the armed convicts fled north. Spotting an opportunity to antagonize the Paladins' union, Onar, one of the major landowners in Carinas, hired the escaped men as mercenaries and broke away from Carinas. All trade was shut down, no food would come to the city, and if the paladins dared try to collect, they'd be sent home in body bags. So, Onar and his mercenaries form the third and final union. They have the means to defend themselves, but they also expand aggressively, coercing other farmers to join them or risk having their livestock killed and crops burnt in a series of unfortunate accidents, demonstrating the price of not being unionized. For if they successfully absorb the remaining farmers, they will hold a
I mean, yeah, I guess it kind of makes sense. I love that there are magics and shit in this one, all these different kind of elements, and there's this union element to it. I guess it makes sense somewhat, right? You know, yeah, we are going to unionize here. We're going to control what happens here. Oh, somebody doesn't want to get unionized. Just kill them, I guess. Otherwise, unionizing doesn't work.
Complete monopoly on food, and then all they have to do is wait while the rival unions starve to death inside their own walls. Video games. Gameplay. Gothic 2 uses high-octane, adrenaline-fueled design choices to bring you hard-hitting, visceral combat that requires you to click at the right times to continue the combo. You'll need a seatbelt for this experience, because you're gonna think of hanging yourself an awful lot. On the plus side, you have an infinite inventory, because
I don't know, man. I don't remember that. When I played it, I didn't thought that, holy shit, the combat sucks. Maybe around the time when I played it, all the games I was playing had bad combat or something. I don't know. I feel like it's fine. I guess it's something. I didn't thought that it's great, but I don't remember thinking, oh, this just sucks.
you'll need all that space for the turnips you'll be picking. This German RPG came out at a much simpler, more innocent time in gaming. Now look how far we've come. There are several ways of traveling in this game. One involves using your atrophied stumps, they call legs, to travel at a snail's crawl through dirt and dog shit, or you can use the most efficient method of travel, T-posing. Naturally, T-posing is the optimal shape for reducing your air resistance, allowing temporary flight and propulsion. This is well documented in the Dead Sea Scrolls. One thing I really enjoyed in this game is that anyone in the shitty part
What was that? There's an actual glitch like that? I don't remember that. Or maybe I didn't figure it out that. That's fucking incredible.
Town can be attacked, and anyone's lunch money and life savings can be taken from them if they fail to square up and defend themselves. Naturally, attacking the elderly, the disabled, and women who are also part of the disabled, makes for an effective strategy to make money early on. Carinas is a magical place where you can attack somebody's wife with a club and rob her on.
So yeah, in Skyrim basically you cut wood, go bounty hunting or something. In this you just attack the elderly. Yeah, you do what you got to do, man. What's this incredibly rich living in some kind of island or something? You have no idea what I had to do when I started out.
Unconscious while her husband cheers. For the main quest, you'll need to become a citizen of Carinas by signing on with one of the different craftsman masters of the city. However, no matter the playthrough, I find myself repeatedly signing on with a blacksmith, just so I can abuse the game's mechanics by beating the absolute shit out of some guy running a bootleg smithy. You see, whenever a character performs an animation with an object, they automatically spawn that object in their inventory, or several of them. In the case of this unfortunate man, after I beat the shit out of him and rob him of all the steel he has, he'll slowly get back up and start beating red hot steel again, at which point I shank him and take this new, freshly materialized steel for myself. I will repeat this process endlessly until I forged literally hundreds of swords and sold them all to the blacksmith and made enough money to buy out the entire town. Truly.
So basically your average corporate world worker, right? Corporate world basically squeeze out every single drop from these workers and pay them for shit. This is equivalent to that.
Hardcore PC gaming.
What do you want here? Go!
It's mine now.
Oh, and to anyone saying Gothic 2 is a game for only true seasoned veterans of RPGs, you can buy a scroll within 20 minutes of starting a new playthrough that lets you transform into an invincible dragon raptor that has a duration of several years and lets you clear out the entire first map in a single day and reach half of a total level cap. So yes, please don't buy those scrolls from Ignaz the Alchemist in Carinas, whose house is right next to the shitty blacksmith around the corner to the right, because that will negatively impact your experience. They cost 200 gold, by the way. You get the one for Dragon Snapper and Shadow Beast. The game is generally pretty great. The
It's seasoned veterans, that's a stretch, I think. Gothic 2, obviously everybody just like, oh, it's not like Gothic. They just compare it. Like, before Skyrim was a thing, everybody just was comparing Gothic 2 with things. Even today, people compare Gothic 2 with Skyrim and other RPGs. It's the best RPG of all time. People constantly say that. I remember playing it, sure, but I didn't feel like, oh, this is for seasoned veterans or like, people who doesn't know how to play RPG would have a problem with it. It's not like that. It's a great game, but anybody can play it.
atmosphere and sound work are fantastic, and make you feel like you've really entered the German woods or some shit. As expected, the German woods are filled with giant rats, giant birds, giant velociraptors, and worst of all, Germans. And while the sound design is pretty good and immersive, the voice acting is absolute fucking garbage, at least in the English copy. Half of the people you talk to can barely even read their lines or speak human dialects, but I guess that's part of the aesthetic. All of Gothic's dialogue is just one hallucinogenic porn movie daze, where all the actors sound like they're half a line away from either sucking you off or mugging you.
Are you the one who runs this place?
I am Bromo, this is my house, and these are my girls. I like my girls. And if you like my girls too, then you'll pay for it, 50 gold pieces.
Most of the quests are pretty interesting, and will take a fuck ton of time to finish.
The German joke was too much, man. I didn't see that coming. I love how Seth can just say ridiculous things and everything's fine. Nobody's gonna do shit about it.
My advice, if you're ever feeling frustrated, is to T-pose away from danger, swallow your pride, and read the damn wiki, because trying to honestly find some of those microscopic quest objects will destabilize your emotional well-being and physical health. I know this because it happened in real life. In high school, one of my friends marathoned Gothic for a week straight. He came back with carpal tunnel and botulism because he didn't have time to clean a mold growing on his dinner plate. And when I asked him about it, he said it was completely worth it. Final score.
Put away
As long as you are accused of theft, you can't enter the upper end of the
Will you
town.
put away
Go
that
to Lord
damn
Andre
weapon?
and settle the matter.
didn't warn you.
I'm a respected citizen of Corinus. Let me pass.
You are the dirt under my fingernails. Make yourself scarce.
I honestly never even leave the starting area. I just smoke water pipes and beat up the working class. I'm not even qualified to review this game. Thoroughly recommended. 10 polygons out of 10. A warm thank you to the many members of the Merchant.
There's the Merchants Guild. Yeah, Gothic, as far as I remember, was a great game, Gothic 2. Never played Gothic 1. 2 was great, whatever I played. For certain reason, like I said, I stopped playing it. Right? I don't know what that was, but I can remember. I just stopped playing it. Not because I didn't like the game. I really liked the game at that point. But I didn't play enough that I could get into the game too deep, I guess. Now I don't think I'll be able to play this game because of how it looks. I don't know. If you're gonna play, this kind of a 3D world game and graphics kind of like shit, combat is shit compared to today, obviously. Even compared to 10 years ago, it's shit because this game's 20 years old. I don't know. It's a hard thing, but yeah. Gothic 2, everybody praises it, right? Best game ever when it comes to RPG, action RPG type of thing. So yeah. Right, well, that was Gothic 2 review, classic German role-playing by the channel ssethtzeentach. Seth is fucking awesome. Every video he says something that makes me think like, ooh, this might be it, right? I bet one of these days, if not today, in a few years, YouTube's gonna come up with some kind of a community guideline, and then YouTube is gonna do the mass search of all the videos wherever he find, and Seth's gonna be in trouble because all this shit is just the German joke was too good. Alright, if you like my reaction, don't forget to like, subscribe, check out the reaction, there's a link in the description, check out the cards, check out the cards, and yeah, I'll see you next time.